Next, is it time to change the way we view our pensioners? A group of elderly people in Nottingham say they're fed up with the way they're portrayed and they're out to prove that they're not a burden on society. Des Coleman's been along to meet them.
Now, this group of pensioners make up the Nottingham Elders Forum. They're determined to prove that we've all got it wrong when it comes to the way we think about older people. Now, they're putting on a show today and they want the politicians to sit up and listen. Am I right?
Yes!
Elderly they might be, but this lot show no sign of slowing down. This group hold dances, go ice skating, and they've even been on a 5-day trip to the European Parliament in Brussels. The combined age of the cast in today's show is 1,014 years, and they think they've still got a lot to offer.
Does she wear glasses?
The politicians carry on as though an ageing population happened overnight, and they've done really nothing to prepare for anything that might come along as a result of that. But when they get on about the NHS and we're crippling it with our occupation, which is a load of nonsense. We're not blocking the A&E on a Saturday night drunk and disorderly, for example.
The group say that 20% of old people need care, but the rest are keen to play their part in society.
And we like to get up and work. We don't like to be idle because we've been used to doing things all our young life and mature life, so we want to keep doing it.
The government seem to put a lot of pressure on the elderly people, saying we're calling a drain on the everybody, but we're not. Surely we're a prime example. We're getting out and doing things.
They take a keen interest in politics and are concerned that talks of cuts to winter fuel allowances or free bus passes. Measures they say would cost more money than they save.
If they ever took bus passes away, that would be such a stupid thing for the simple reason volunteers wouldn't be able to go out and do all their jobs. People wouldn't be able to afford bus fares so they could go and see the families and friends or go to classes or go to libraries or anything. So what would happen? They would be stuck in their own homes. This is where they get lonely and then they get depressed and then they get clinical depression and then it all goes on to the NHS.
We pay our taxes, we are volunteers in fact, if we stop volunteering, the NHS would be in trouble. We've got people who are caring for their loved ones that are unpaid. And what I say to the politicians, look, we've been there, done it, and got the T-shirt.
With the average age of 78, these pensioners are determined to change our views on how we see the elderly. And here's another figure that will make the politicians sit up. 72% of this age group still vote in every election.
And of course, that last fact might be the most important, really. You can't afford to upset people like pensioners.
73% of all my voters vote anyway, so...
Good for you. But Andrew Bridgen, they do seem quite angry with the way that they're portrayed as a burden on society, especially when you heard that chap there saying that they do so much volunteering, they're looking after loved ones, and they're saving your government a lot of money.
Well, yeah, carers, voluntary carers, £84 billion a year. We would never be able to pay the deficit of if we didn't have our voluntary carers out, and we should value them more.
And their loved ones wouldn't be looked
Any
after.
party who ignores the concerns of the grey vote does so at their peril. It's a very, very vocal part of our society. It's growing, and they've got a huge amount of experience of life. And I think, we're saying now that 70 is the new 50, and I hope it is because I'm 50. And I think they've got a lot to give. They are great volunteers, part of the big society, and you just heard them. They're out there. They're doing it.
John, aren't pensioners pretty well protected anyway? I mean, this government has been increasing pensions above inflation.
Well, that's not what they're telling me, and they are a vocal group, and rightly so. My message to pensioners is shout even louder, and every time a politician knocks on your door, you give them what it's for, give us what it's for, about what we should be doing. I welcome that.
Okay. Sooner or later, though, Andrew, you're going to have to take a look at cutting back on some of these benefits that the elderly do get. Our councils are making some really tough decisions.
Yeah,
Services for the elderly cost more than 100 billion a year.
But there's no point if means testing, the action of finding out who really needs it and who doesn't, costs more than the savings. There is no point doing it. So I think a lot of those universal benefits will remain.
So the winter fuel allowance, for example, the bus passes. That lady was saying she dreads losing that.
Absolutely.
They're protected and they're safe. There's no chance that they will go.
That's what David Cameron said straight after just before the election in 2010, and they're all still here now. So he kept his word on all of that.
Well, Ed Balls has actually said already, John, that you and your party will be looking at cutting the winter fuel allowance for the wealthiest of pensioners, and that's around 600,000. Is that going to happen? Because as we've all been hearing, you know, it's hardly a vote winner, is it, attacking pensioners?
Oh, well, if it's for the very wealthy pensioners, that's not going to be controversial.
But they've earned that, haven't they?
The big issue that's out there is...
Doesn't want to answer that question.
Is Cameron's biggest secret cut, which is social care for the elderly. The social care support that is there has been stripped out across the country, including in our region, and that's beginning to hurt. You know, if you get into problems as an elderly person, there isn't that support of daycare and the rest there that there was 5 years ago. And it's the biggest change in society we've had, and they're going to cut it a lot more.
John knows that the government have put extra money into social care for the elderly. That is,
but right across the East Midlands, we're seeing the impact of those cuts on elderly care and social care now, aren't we? And it's hurting.
There's going to be a bigger demand for that going forward, and it's something we've got to. We've all got a duty as well, though, to make sure we keep ourselves healthy, and that's part of our NHS programme.
Well, pensioners, listen to you, Andrew, will be shaking their head now in disbelief. You're there saying there hasn't more money gone into social care. Every pensioner who's watching knows what is happening to social care, with daycare services and other support services being decimated, and the problem is it leaves pensioners, especially single pensioners, isolated, and that's going to come back and cost us.
We're going to have to leave it there.